Hi guys, so I thought I'd make a quick video on heart rate variability because a lot of people always ask me about it. I get all of my athletes to use it. For the people following the Underground RX Athlete program, it's advised that you use it and you follow it. For the athlete program, there are different tiers of training, so there's 3 different tiers each day, and each tier has less volume than the higher tier. And that is because, you know, if you've ever overtrained or come close to it or felt symptoms of overtraining, it's because you're doing too much, right? And that's why we've got 3 tiers, so that you can choose on which day you do what training. For the athletes I program for individually, again, I monitor their HRV, and then on a daily basis I change their training so that, you know, they're not overtraining and they get those overtraining symptoms. And the other thing is with HRV, obviously you can see if you're undertraining. So there are certain times during the week in the training cycle where you want HRV to be reading, you know, certain readings that show the athlete is becoming stressed, because you do want to put a certain amount of stress on them. So this little video isn't really about how HRV works too much. It's just a few things that might make you or help you understand it a little bit better. The first thing is it monitors all stress, right? It monitors your nervous system. So if your nervous system is under stress, it's going to show up on HRV. And that can be absolutely anything from getting not much sleep and waking up, I guess, knowing you haven't had much sleep. That's going to drop your HRV. If you wake up even with little sleep, but your perception is that you've had a good sleep, then your HRV probably won't be too bad. So remember, all of this is how sort of you perceive and your body understands the stressful environment, and it's different from person to person. Travel's another thing that really messes with HRV. If people get sick, obviously their HRV drops, things like that. So it measures all stress, including stress from training. So when it comes to HRV, it's pretty much a sign of your state, whether you're in a rested state, whether you're currently resting, or whether your body is in a state of stress or fatigue. And so it kind of follows a cycle of stress and fatigue, which would correlate to a lower HRV, and then resting, so your body's currently resting, which would be a higher HRV, and then rested, which is kind of around your baseline HRV. And what a lot of people think is that having a high HRV is good and a low HRV is bad, which isn't necessarily true. Having a low HRV means your body's fired up. A lot of times people can have a low HRV and hit personal bests, and obviously during a time of competition your HRV is going to be low with the stresses of competition, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's almost a good thing because your body's in fight mode. The problem comes when that's chronically like that, and then you get like this residual fatigue that doesn't go away, and that's when you have a crappy performance. And the other misconception is high HRV is good, when again it can be the complete opposite. If you've got a high HRV compared to your baseline, it means your body's probably still resting, and so you're going to come in to train and you're going to feel sluggish and sleepy because, you know, your body's in this parasympathetic state trying to rest, and you're going in to try and do the complete opposite. So don't get caught in that misconception that high is good and low is bad. It all depends on the timing of it. Over time, and I'm talking months and years, we're looking for a upward trend in HRV. So just a slow, steady growth, and that shows that it's health, right? That's health. Your stress levels down, your heart rate variability is going up, which is a good indicator of cardio and metabolic health. That's the overall trend we're looking for. It's more prominent in aerobic athletes. When you look at just weightlifters or powerlifters or strongmen, sometimes the HRV is low, the baseline's low, and it might not trend up, which is because of the direct correlation to aerobic health. The other thing you've really got to take into account with HRV is correlation to heart rate. So you might have an HRV that shoots up, right? It's like starts to go really high, but then a heart rate that's also getting really high with it, which is a sign of a really sort of clear sign of overtraining. Heart rate's going up to try and recover the body, and the HRV shooting up as well because it's in resting. It's not rested, but it's resting, and it's trying to rest even more. So if those two are going up together, then that can be a a bad sign. What you really want is HRV to gradually go up and heart rate to gradually go down, and that's obviously aerobic health is improving. Less stress, metabolic health, generally healthier and fitter. Okay, that's the trend we're looking for. The other thing that you don't want is big jumps, and you see it all the time. You'll see people like a pendulum or a yo-yo, just like up and down, and that's really bad. That's the body system's not really knowing what's going on. You'll see HRV will be like 90, which is really high. Heart rate will be like might be like 60, which is pretty high, and then the next day HRV will be low. HRV might be like 60 and heart rate might be 70. And when you've got your heart rate higher than your HRV, then you've got signs of like a chronic problem, stress in your life. And the amount of people I've seen with that yo-yo effect and having the HRV lower than the heart rate, and you can just sort of look at the person, and it correlates to their lifestyle. Lots of stress going on, whether it's like divorce or family problems or whatever it is, depression, things like that. It easily correlates. Okay, so HRV is a great tool when you know what you're looking for and when you know what you're doing. If you use it as an athlete and you're not really sure what you're looking at, which is a lot of people, they hear about HRV and they use it, and they kind of think, oh, green, high HRV, good to go, and that's the limit, and that's not 100% true. So hopefully this video can help you. The key is to really look for these little signals that I've talked about. Look for long term. So on a daily basis, it can absolutely help control your volume day to day, and I recommend everyone does that. But then also in the long term, you've got to look for these trends of what happens. You'll also see with females, the once a month trend, when the hormones go a bit crazy, their body comes under a bit more stress, and HRV picks all of that up. So it's not just good for athletes and seeing, how they're recovering from training, how much you can give them on a daily basis, but it also with people in general. If you're a health coach, anything like that, it's great for monitoring stress. It's probably better for monitoring like life stress than it is for actual athletes. But the best part of it when it comes to athletes is seeing how long they take to recover. Okay, so you can demolish them in the gym. You can see the HRV drop. It might stay down for a little while. It might really compensate into a parasympathetic state, and then it will come back down to baseline. And you can see how long that takes to happen. Really fit, potentially really young athletes, that'll bounce back really quickly, and you can just keep giving them new stresses to deal with. And then older athletes or people that aren't as well conditioned, you're going to see that take a lot longer time. The other thing with it as well, a lot of people will say on recovery days, you want to be doing like aerobic training, something like that. Again, I haven't found that to be true with HRV. If you've got a bigger athlete, someone who prefers open chain movements or weightlifting, and you give them some cardio on a recovery day or something low intensity, it doesn't work. They'll find a light jog more stressful than going in and lifting weights. So quite often I've tried it and failed prescribing recovery work for bigger and stronger athletes that involves low intensity cardio, and they actually become more stressed. So again, don't get caught in that trap. If you perceive something to be stressful, it's gonna be a stress on the body and not a recovery tool. So each individual athlete's different. Same with the little bodyweight ninjas. If you're trying to get them strong, you're killing them with lifting, and their HRV is dropping down. You want to throw in a recovery day or recovery week. Find what is recovery for that person. It's not always going to be that aerobic training. For the light person, it might be the bodyweight stuff. Throw in things they enjoy. If they perceive it as enjoyment and fun, they won't get as stressed, and they can do more of it. They can last longer. And one of the key things to talk about here is when it comes to CrossFit, it's fun, right? Everyone has fun doing it, and people train so much, like ridiculous amounts of volume. And it's okay as long as they perceive it as fun, enjoyable, and they'll be able to do this ton of volume and make pretty good gains. As soon as it becomes stressful, or they perceive it to be stressful or not enjoyable, or for whatever reason, you're going to find their ability to complete the training start to drop and suffer. And if I have athletes that sometimes it gets monotonous, if you're just trying to build strength all the time, it can get monotonous. Or if you're a strong person and you're trying to build an engine, it hurts and it's hard. And if they start perceiving that as they don't enjoy it, they don't like it, their HRV is going to drop. They're not going to have a good time. You'll find they'll probably start getting injured more. Things like this, they all correlate and link into each other. So the biggest thing is that the athlete is perceiving it as a good thing. So mindset has got a lot to do with HRV. Mindset's got a lot to do with recovery. So as long as the athlete is perceiving it as enjoyable, and that is your job as a coach to make it as enjoyable as possible, then it's a good thing. So if you ever find them getting stagnant for whatever reason, sometimes you're better off not sticking to the plan of, hey, you're weak, you need to get strong, or you're unfit, you need to get fit, and just giving them what they like for a little while, and secretly hiding things in there that they need as well. And you'll find their HRV will pick back up again, and they'll feel great, and then you can keep going with whatever it is you were doing. So that's going to wrap up the video on HRV. I hope you've learned something from it. If you've got any questions, just write them in the comments section below and I'll answer them as soon as I can.